No thanks, honey. Hello my blind blokes and limback glasses, and welcome to the channel. Today I'm talking about the Payday series, more specifically Payday 3, and how it's a great game, but a terrible sequel. Before we start though, let's do a quick description of both Payday games we're talking about for the people in the back. Payday 2 is an action-packed 4-player co-op shooter based around heisting here, there, and everywhere in Washington, DC. It was released in 2013 with 12 heists, 4 heisters, and 1 great game. A solid 10 out of 10. Payday 3 was released a week ago and is also an action-packed 4-player co-op shooter based around heisting, who would have thought. But this time, it's in New York. It was released with 8 heists, but it has 6 heisters, and is also a great game. Today I would like to talk about how great the game is, but how it isn't really a Payday game. The closest thing that I can think of describing the game before we go in depth is that they modernized Payday, and it kind of feels like a yearly returning Rainbow Six Siege event that's based around Payday. First I'm gonna talk about and review the game, so if you're only here for that discussion, skip to this timestamp. But if you're staying with us, let's start off by talking about some stuff that really messes with me. If you were even familiar with Payday 2, you may know about the infamous Crime Net, which is basically a map of technical goodness with oh so many heists. And it really makes it easy to find a heist to your liking, and it's just kind of all around feels like you're actually right there with Dallas and Hoxton preparing your next heist. But Payday 3's version of the Crime Net is just a more bland and dumbed down version of Hitman's Mission Select, which might not seem like the most crazy thing, but along with the other things that I'm about to talk about, add up to really just grind my gears, boy. I don't know where that came from, but that wasn't even on script. Anyways, talking about the other things, let's talk about the UI. It's really clunky. Like, if you were to go to the loadout tab, nothing crazy yet, but let's go to the primary section and buy a gun. Okay, we got it. So let's press escape and... oh, we have to take our mouse all the way up to the tabs area and go back to loadouts if we want to do anything. I know it doesn't seem like anything, but after just 8 hours, I am already sick of it. Is it too much to ask for such a simple thing? I feel like this is the least petty of my complaints, because it actually has a recognizable effect on gameplay. That is, that they basically remove strategizing from the game. So if you played Payday 2, you're well aware of the detection meter, which I'm willing you can guess makes it so you aren't going to be able to walk into a local jewelry shop with a chain gun and a flamethrower without anybody even lifting an eye. That single addition to Payday 2 makes the game so much more needing of smart, because while you can just obliterate everything, it's easier to find everything out before there's a bulldozer coming out of your ass ray gun first. But anyways, since I talked about the least petty thing, let's talk about... I know, this is really a nothing burger. Super petty and all that, but it's just really something that's big to me, because Joy is one of my favorite heisters from Payday 2, along with Dallas.
Come with me!
And Jacket.
The one Pink most likes to fuck doggy style, sideways, frontwards, backwards, upside down, 360 degrees.
A big reason for even trying her out was her awesome mask that, along with showing her own mask design, it also showed a LED display of the 4 original heisters. This made me extra love her because I started playing Payday when I was in my Watch Dogs 2 phase, with everyone's best man, Wrench. I'm getting off topic, but anyways, this is the first problem I noticed when I opened the game. Okay, so I think it's finally time to talk about the more important stuff. The actual game. Okay, let's talk about the whole game. Now, since this is my first long review, I don't actually know where to start, so let's just compare different maps from the 2 games. These 2 maps I'm going to talk about are going to be Payday 2's Harvest and Trusty Bank, and Payday 3's No Rest for the Wicked heist, because it's obvious that they were going for a similar feel, more beginner-friendly. Let's start off with the layout. So let's just test the basics of each bank. H&T Bank has 1 floor and a very simple layout that makes going in easy loud, obviously, along with stealthing into the place. This is a really good map to start off with, because unlike others, it makes you need to not go that far for each other location you need to go, and the RNG of the maps makes things different, but not to the point where you accidentally go to the other spawn area of the vault. You don't have to go all the way to the other side of the map. Now let's look at Payday 3's heist. It has 2 floors and a roof, with a still pretty simple layout where you can easily sneak in while also not going in loud, making too difficult or annoying. Which makes sense because unlike the H&T heist, you're directly pushed to do this first. But there are also some major problems with it, and all these issues all show up later in the heist. Specifically when you're escaping with your loot, because the main way to go is this really thin alley, which isn't that bad of an issue by itself, but you're going through it several times, and there's several spawn points for police on each side. So they just spawn crazily often, so that there's a lot of situations where you're caught between a bulldozer and an army of cloakers. Then again, it is the end of the heist, so it's supposed to be hard. Which, once again, I would be fine with, but also they make it so you have to put down these barriers to get the van in. And there's this weird glitch or something, I don't know, where only the first person that goes through the alley and activates the next step of the heist can see the damn locations of the power boxes. Like, I only know 2 of the 3 locations. I have no idea where the third is. Truthfully though, even though it's annoying as hell, as long as you have a semi-competent team, you'll rarely, if ever, notice. Even if you do, and for some reason it messes with you too much to handle, there's 7 other maps to do, so let's just quickly get over those. Starting with the next heist in order, and truthfully the most unique, Road Rage takes place on a bridge, where you have to sneak over a hiding spot, hack an armored truck, and lead it all the way to the other side of the bridge, while also placing things down for the truck to drive on. Did I mention that the bridge is being built? Yeah, I don't know why they would first of all have anything be driving on an unfinished bridge, let alone a truck with hundreds of thousands of dollars. But that's not my problem to deal with, it's the government's. What was I talking about? Oh right, the actual heist. Once you drive to the final spot, you break into the truck through the bottom and get away with your valuables. All around it's a pretty good heist, and oddly enough it's the only heist that forces you to sneak. Well, at least in the beginning. Now, let's talk about... Dirty Ice is like no rest in the vein that it's a classic heist, but this time it takes place in a jewelry store, and once again is pretty simple. You grab all the jewelry and then you put it in this jewelry inspector to make sure you're getting the good stuff. The only real problem I have with it though is scanning the jewelry takes forever, and the helicopter is all the way in Norway. This heist is probably one of the hardest heists in the game, if not the hardest. This one takes place at a nightclub where you're stealing from the vault, because nightclubs have those. The reason I say it's so hard is because there's a bunch of vents that lead everywhere, and you have to find the right one that goes to the right room that has the right code in it. It takes forever because they put like 3 extra wrong codes around the place to confuse you. Also, did I tell you have to do that twice for completely different things? Yeah, I don't really like this one as much as the others, but I think I'm gonna like it the more I play it and the more I get used to it. Under the surface, whatever, has you stealing art from an art expo. It's really simple where you're basically going around stealing art from different sections, and the only unique thing is that there's a painting and a fake of the same painting that you have to get a thumb drive to make sure you're taking the real one, because if you don't, the other one gets destroyed. It's so forgettable that I had to look it up since I forgot about it, and there's only 8 heists. So let's just move on to something better, hopefully. Golden Shark is the first full-scale heist worth the Payday gang's time. It's really good to say, simply. The stealth is probably the easiest out of all the maps, and going in loud doesn't make it drag on forever. With a good team, it took me like 7 minutes getting through, and that was still with plenty of mess-ups. Truthfully, it's the best heist, and I absolutely love it. If I were doing a tier list, this would be S tier. I truthfully don't know what to say. It's a perfectly rounded map, and I don't have any problems with it. Last, but definitely not least... Hey guys, actually, that was not the last map. There's one more map called 99 Boxes, and apparently I forgot about it. I could have swore I said it. I mean, it's literally right here in the script, and I'm gonna read it now, but I don't know where it went. Anyways, let's start this. Obviously, this is the easiest heist in the game. Truthfully, I think the devs should have made this the first or second heist instead of the last. or one of the last. I know there are probably lore problems, but I really do not care. I should probably get to the heist itself, though. It's fun, and it's also pretty unique. It takes place at a shipping container yard thing, I don't know what it's called, where you search all the white containers for freezing things and run them out to the semi before they go bad. I personally think it's turkey or something like that, but I don't actually know what it is. Anyways, it's probably right behind the last map quality-wise. It's pretty nice. Now let's get to Touch the Sky. Last, but definitely not least, this map takes place in a millionaire penthouse apartment where you're stealing Elon Musk's secret hard drive full of FNAF Rule 34. It once again has the randomized code with all of the codes all over the map, taking a long time to finish it. But besides that, it's a pretty easy thing to go from the safe to the heli, and it isn't that hard to do stealth in total, as long as you don't accidentally throw a grenade, because they switched the goddamn grenade and throw bag button. Why, Payday? Why did you switch throw bag from G to Q? It was perfectly fine at G. Jesus Christ. Weirdest name for a section, but it's for good reason. You remember the two different upgrading things, skills and perks? Well, they basically combined the two in Payday 3, making a weird Frankenstein system where you can do things like upgrade multiple fields and gain new items like perks, but you also get general upgrading and look of skills. It also gives you these three new effect things called Rush, Edge, and Grit. Rush increases movement speed, Edge makes you do more damage, and Grit reduces the damage you take. Anyways, let's move on to everyone's favorite thing in gaming. Yay! The thing that ruined gaming. Luckily for us though, Payday 3 does it right. Hell, I really shouldn't even named it Monetization, because even though there's multiple different kinds of currencies, you can't actually buy any of them, which these days is really nice. Talking about currencies, there are two. One is normal money that you get from payouts of heists, and the other is C-stacks, that you buy from the previously mentioned money to be able to get more things like gloves and weapon charms. Oh, and also interesting they did is, the more C-stacks you buy, the more expensive they are. But they don't stay that way. Every week it resets the price and makes sure that it isn't completely unfair. In total, congrats to Payday. You didn't fail. Now let's discuss something that's pretty important for your purchasing decision right now. Breaking news. As of September 24th, as I'm writing this script, the servers are having a lot of connection issues, and the Starbreeze website is hard to connect to also. The issue is not cause of lack of preparing or lack of caring even. It's the first day Payday 3 released, it reached the top of the Steam page and there was 30 million players trying to play at once. And as you can guess, no game could prepare for that. So I would recommend waiting for at least a week or until the Payday Twitter / Payday subreddit page says that it's fixed. Now that we've gotten to the review out of the way and everyone who skipped ahead is back with us, hi, let's talk about the actual thing this video is promoting. Payday 3 is obviously a great game, but it is not Payday. As I said, however minutes ago, it feels more like a limited time Rainbow Six game mode than an actual sequel to Payday 2. Truthfully, another way I think I could compare this to is how TF2 and Team Fortress Classic, both amazing games, they've changed the landscape of gaming, it's just that TF2 is a terrible sequel. Once again stating that TF2 is a great game. TF2 fans, please don't come after me if you exist. It's a terrible sequel though. It's kind of like the opposite of Terminator 2. And it's a weird thing to cover because I don't know if it should affect my thoughts on the game or not because it's a great game. Hell, it could even be Game of the Year. But it feels wrong calling it a Payday 2 sequel. I truthfully think that they just could have put it under a new IP or made it a spin-off like Payday Legion. I don't know. And I would have felt better about it. But truthfully, it has the opposite problem of Overwatch where it's too different from the source material. They make it work though, so feels confusing, to say the least. Now, I think I've rambled on for long enough. It's time to talk about. So, Payday 3 is an odd game to talk about because it's a great game, maybe even Game of the Year once again, but comparing it to Payday 2 as a sequel, it fails in all categories. It's obvious that they didn't get rid of everything because they used a lot of things to make Payday Payday, but they changed it a little too much to call it a sequel. Once again, I feel like it's more of a spin-off than the actual sequel gameplay-wise. I immediately think of the difference between Watch Dogs 2 and Watch Dogs Legion. When I look at this game, it's obvious that it's a continuation of the world, but it feels too different gameplay-wise. Also, it is a serious problem right now where they're having some problems with servers, so wait until the confirmation of either Payday's Twitter page or the subreddit to decide when to play. But don't let it deter you. Anyways, if you could subscribe, I'd be thankful, and also the more likes this video gets, the more I'd get to know if you guys want to see more reviews. But if not, I'll just be here chillin' and killin'. Goodbye.